Hello and welcome to the Design of Craft Beer hosted by Mother Sponge. My name is Sean Kelley, founder and creative director of Mother Sponge Beverage Branding Agency in San Diego, California. For the inaugural year of San Diego Design Week, we're proud to present this series of discussions with designers working in the craft beer industry. The San Diego-Tijuana region is home to over 150 craft breweries, including many award-winning and internationally recognized innovators. In this series, you'll meet 4 local graphic designers who have played a large part in bringing the spirit and vision of some of our region's most notable beer brands to life. Thank you for joining us, and cheers to the capital of craft.
This is Tyler Cristobal, a designer who has done a ton of work in craft beer, not just in San Diego, but all over. He's also been working at Hollis Brand Culture for years as one of their leads, and so yeah, we've crossed paths in the art world before, and he's always been someone that I've looked up to in terms of just prolific output and incredible design versatility. And so really excited to do this interview with you, Tyler, and just talk about the world of craft beer through your eyes.
Awesome. Stoked. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course. Yeah. So, like I said, you have been working at Hollis for a long time, and this sort of craft beer work has kind of gradually become more and more a part of your life, and it's almost like you're living this double life.
It's definitely been a balance, like figuring out, we're putting in a full, 8 hours at the office, and then coming home and then doing almost the same thing, or at least 4 to 5 hours of concentrated time just dedicated to that part. I think what's been cool is just it's been a nice change up from a lot of the stuff that we do at a studio. I think the work is very different in terms of we're doing a lot of brand identity for hospitality, hotels, a lot of signage, environmental stuff, which is really cool because that's all like huge scale stuff that you walk into and experience. We've been doing a lot of interior expression, so everything from furniture to art selection to wall murals and stuff like that. So it's cool to kind of, that's like the 30,000 foot kind of, you get to do that part of it, and then you come home and you work on something that's 5 by 8 and thrown in the trash like immediately after consumption.
Totally.
So that part is kind of cool, and we're just like, and I think that's probably what has really sustained me at Hollis for so long, is just the variety of work that we get. It's just evolved over the years. I think Homebrewer was actually the first kind of intro beer project for me. I mentioned we were doing like bottle shares. So one of my friends was friends with George, and he would show up to a couple of these, and he'd bring like a little pony keg or like little growlers of like his homebrew, and he had like his wild long hair and handsome, charming, go through and like explain like, this is the brew, this is my homebrew, and this is what I was trying to go for with this specific beer or whatever. And so that was kind of cool to kind of get an intro to him. I didn't know at the time, but he was in the works of planning the opening of Homebrewer as a retail shop. But I did some wedding invites for his friends that were a part of that kind of bottle share group. So he saw that, and that kind of like connected the dots there, where he was like, oh, this guy's got some design chops. I'm about to open this business, and I need some help figuring out my brand and all that. So we met up at Tornado, RIP, and just kind of like hashed out like what he was envisioning, and his kind of future goals and stuff. And it just started as kind of like a real humble, kind of grassroots store. It's still like very much that. I think it's just kind of, evolved and it eventually turned into the tasting room. And yeah, it's been a cool relationship. And I think a lot of, his connections and people that I've met through him have kind of it's just this web.
A lot of the smaller breweries like Home and some of the other ones that you worked with, they maybe didn't have access to labeling, packaging, mobile canning. Like a lot of this stuff just wasn't even available at small quantities, and now it is.
Right.
And it's totally changed the game. And so I'm just kind of curious what you think about all that.
Yeah, the ability to do a smaller run, I think, affords a little bit more exploration. I think experimentation with some of the artwork. I think you aren't committed to, a 10,000 run of like painted silkscreen cans that you have to get printed in the Midwest and do press checks and go through that whole process, where now it's just like you can do 400 or maybe 250 8.5 by 5 labels and just get a roll and then hand apply as needed depending on when you're producing the beer. So yeah, it's kind of this like catch-22 where it's like this culture that's just like constantly consuming more and more.
Well, I mean, it's amazing. It's so amazing. It's really exciting to see all the new stuff come out, and I'm sure the brewers too are like excited at some level. And then at a certain point, the business people at the brewery, or even the brewer, if they're also the business person, they're like, "Oh my God, I can't keep up with this," But it's so fun that I think, it just feeds that passion on both sides. So it's really, really cool. And I mean, to have a lot of people in the game that are really small production breweries, to be able to like put their stuff out there on the shelf and have can releases, and I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you can hit that caliber, just as the art and the quality of the beer, and you can kind of go toe to toe in some respects. Especially locally, if you're on the shelves with every other local brewery, and your sign's tight, and your beer is reputable, like you really have a good shot at gaining some traction and like a fan base. So
yeah, totally. Well, you mentioned the bomber collection that this guy had, and it's kind of, and like what you've got behind you there sort of represents the new version of that. The 16-ounce can is is sort of like the new Mad format everyone's really, really into. And so, I mean, people collect these cans. There's just so many great designs out there, and people are really, really amped about it. Like, it's almost like, would you say it's almost like the new art print is like the 16-ounce can?
It feels like it, yeah. Like I think, like before I started doing any labels or anything, as part of like Yeller, was kind of like an art collective that I was a part of, and yeah, we would just get together. A lot of times we just kind of like hang out and drink some beers and show each other like art that we found or that we liked, or share our own stuff with each other. But a couple times we have sessions where we get screens made and do like a whole poster series, and just kind of like all come together and just hang out. And it was just cool just to like merge the design stuff that you do all digitally, sitting at a desk all day, and then being a little bit more hands-on with it and seeing the ink push through the screen and apply to the paper, and you get this kind of more tactile piece at the end of the day. I think that there's something like gratifying with like actually making something tangible. Yeah. So I think it's kind of carried over into the 16-ounce canvas, where it's like it is that kind of skinny vertical format. You have that a little bit more to play with because it's a 3D. It's also very like, it's very trippy sometimes when you're designing something that's flat, and then ultimately it just gets totally warped. A little sliver that's like kind of flat, and then the rest is just it's all like warped. So it's interesting. Like you never really know what you're gonna get sometimes. after you send something off the print.
So you've also done work with Lost Cause Meadery, and the work is just really cool and just beautiful illustrative work. And the format is, like very different, right? You got this really skinny vertical, but I really love what you've done with that, and I'm kind of curious to hear more about that process with them. And yes, there it is. Is that the Raspberry Envy?
Yeah.
It definitely has a nod to the past, but it feels very fresh too. Kind of Art Nouveau. And
Totally.
There's this really cool thing that you did specifically with that bottle, which is that you had like a poster that was available in limited quantity as well.
So they've been, for all their bottle releases, I think they, for the first like 20 people in line, get a poster with a purchase of a bottle. And I want to hope that it's more than that it's just a free poster, but it's like something that, they actually like want. And I think a lot of them, they've actually told me that they've like framed them and, sent in photos of, all their collections of, it's almost like a little mini gallery.
Nice.
So I have it in a format that's, a little bit more, feels a little bit more special and, can be framed and put on a wall. I think is just an awesome extra layer. Yeah, I think as part of, the craft culture of beer, it's creating something that feels special and unique. And I think a lot of the breweries want that to be conveyed through the vessel and the container that, someone's going to pick up off the shelf or in the tasting room and kind of hold and feel like they're taking a little bit of the brewery home with them.
A big thanks to Tyler for sharing his work and design perspectives on the world of craft beer. You can follow Tyler to see his latest and greatest at TyLizzo on Instagram. And thank you all for watching the Design of Craft Beer with Mother Sponge. Be sure to check out the other 3 interviews on the San Diego Design Week website.